Welcome into the MMA Best Bets for UFC Vegas 54, which goes down on Saturday night inside the UFC Apex, headlined by a key light heavyweight matchup of Jan Blachowicz and Aleksandar Rakic. We are powered by BetMGM. Of course, as always, I am joined by the fighter, Pete Rogers Jr. Pete, we have got a nice fight card coming up here on Saturday night inside the Apex. So back to the events with not a lot of people in the crowd, but definitely a lot of opportunities that we can take advantage of here, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love the Apex cards, and I love the whole dynamic of just smaller crowds, more focus on the noise and interactions of the corners with the fighters. I don't know. I really like the Apex cards, and last week's card was amazing. And this week, it looks like an okay card in comparison, but there are definitely some interesting matchups I can't wait to break down with you.
You know, of course, before we get to Saturday, you got to take advantage of this tremendous offer that BetMGM has for you, where you bet $10 any NBA game, and if either team hits a three-pointer, then you win $200. Look, you know that's going to happen. Wagers must be a pregame money line bet. Of course, you can click the link in the video description below or use a promo code OSMMA to claim your $200 now. Of course, use that money to take a bet with your bets here. And Pete, I'll throw it over to you with your money line in terms of, with that money you're going to get from BetMGM. Who you putting some money on this week?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to start with Katlyn Chookagian sitting at -175. I think that, she's proven herself within this division that she's going to be the gatekeeper of the division and probably beat everybody else outside the champ. And she'll probably be clawing back at the champ's heels, trying to get rematches and trying to prove that she's, title worthy and one of the best within the division. And she's a staple and going up against Amanda Ribas, who's moving up a weight class and, has dealt with some adversity from time to time. And especially in certain matchups where, certain fighters can negate her grappling and keep it on the feet and test that chin. And she's been wobbled a couple times. Katlyn Chookagian just has good volume, and she's a strong fighter for this division. So I feel pretty confident that Katlyn Chookagian's going to give Amanda Ribas a rude welcome into this division. And it's a massive step up of competition, in my opinion. Amanda Ribas, if she goes in there and outscores or dominates Katlyn Chookagian, I'll be absolutely surprised. So I really like the value sitting there at -175 for Chookagian.
And I mentioned to you earlier this week when I started breaking down this card, the thing that really stuck out to me is, when you think about Katlyn Chookagian, you think about a tall fighter. And the fact that while she has a 6-inch reach advantage in the height, it's only like a 2-inch reach advantage when we're talking about the actual reach, which definitely stuck out to me. I'll talk about Katlyn Chookagian a little bit later on because I feel like a lot of times I mentioned death, taxes, and something else. Yeah, that's going to come up a little bit later on in the show. When it comes to my money line, Pete, I'm going to go right to the main event. You've got the former champion, Jan Blachowicz, taking on the rising young stud here in Aleksandar Rakic. I like Aleksandar Rakic in this spot, -175. He is the betting favorite heading this one. Of course, this was a matchup that was supposed to take place back in March in Columbus. Gets moved back a couple months here for this one. This may be a fight you have to sweat out later on in it, but I just think the younger fighters can get the job done.
Yeah, I think that you just, hit the nail on the head by saying that you may have to sweat it out because going against Jan Blachowicz in a 5-round bout is definitely going to be challenging, especially because of the championship experience that Jan Blachowicz has. I do favor Aleksandar Rakic here. I do think that his youth and athleticism and just ability to mix things up, keep it on the feet, mix in a takedown, possibly defend some takedowns that Jan Blachowicz will attempt. As far as jiu-jitsu, I do favor Jan Blachowicz in that particular aspect of fighting. But I do think that the younger Aleksandar Rakic is going to be able to put together a game plan and win 3 of the 5 rounds. I have an odd feeling that this is going to get stretched out and that it's going to be a low volume sweat fest from time to time. And it could come down to being a closely contested decision, but I'm going to favor Aleksandar Rakic there as well. So I don't mind getting to that as well. I think that there's value on that line.
Now, as we talk about our parlays, our 3-fighter parlays, me and Pete have got some similarities with our parlays. I'll start with my parlay. I'm going to go with Nick Maximov. He's a sizable betting favorite there against Petrovsky. I like him in that spot. I really like Davey Grant going up against Smolka. And also, I'm going to go with, on a female fight, I'm going to go with Andrea Lee. Like what I've seen out of her in her past couple of fights. That 3-fighter parlay, plus 216. I really love the first two sides of it. The Andrea Lee, I mean, look, I think that fight's going to go the distance. Once again, kind of like what I said with Rakic, you might have to sweat that one out a little bit, but I do like Andrea Lee to win that one for my 3-fighter parlay.
Yeah, I can't fault you there. I mean, Andrea Lee's really looked good. I think that's going to be a very close fight, and as you mentioned, it could get a little tough from the viewing standpoint, where you're going to be on the edge of your seat, sweating that one out. But I mean, as of late, I think Andrea Lee's looked better than ever. So my 3-fighter parlay, I'm going to kind of piggyback a little bit off of that. I'm going to go with Maximov. Second piece is going to be Davey Grant, and third piece is going to be Katlyn Chookagian again. And I think that it's modest value sitting there at plus 165, and that's fine for me. Like if I'm trying to get to like my first three fighters to build a safe parlay, that's kind of what I want. As long as I'm getting 150 and up, I'm okay with that. Obviously, it's a lot of risk for smaller plus money, but any plus money is good, especially when you feel confident about 3 fighters. So going Maximov, Grant, Chookagian sits at plus 165, and I feel okay with that.
And of course, we want to make a bet on these guys. Check our friends over at BetMGM. Bet $10 on any NBA game, and if either team hits a 3-pointer, then you win $200. Wager must be a pregame moneyline bet. Click the link in the video description below, or use a promo code OSMMA to claim your $200 now. Turn big plays into paydays with BetMGM. Join the king of sportsbook. Of course, you take those winnings from the NBA and use that here for Saturday night. And I mean, look, we talk about taking those winnings from BetMGM, and for prop bets, Pete, death, taxes, and Katlyn Chookagian win by decision. It's plus 130. I love this prop bet. I mean, look, just go to Katlyn Chookagian's record. You see decision. It's decisions galore. Love her in this spot. Decision plus 130. Give me that for my prop of the week.
Yeah, I feel like we're noticing a trend with Jason. He always has these awesome prop bets that tend to be going with the consistent fighters that find their way to decisions. And I can't fault you at all, buddy. I feel like there's value on that line. If history repeats itself, it should be coming in at a high clip, especially because, Amanda Ribas is a tough fighter, and she will challenge Katlyn Chookagian in that bout. So I like the value sitting at that prop bet. My prop bet is going to be going towards Davey Grant winning by KO, sitting at plus 135. Now, I feel like this is somewhat of a buy low situation for Davey Grant because, he's coming off of back-to-back defeats, and that's against Marlon Vera and Adrian Yanez. The Yanez fight was a split decision, but if you watch both of those fights, he was competitive throughout, and he was, throwing leather with both of those guys and exchanging and testing their chins, and he's proven to somewhat like build upon some late momentum in his career. I mean, knocking out Martin Day and then knocking out Jonathan Martinez. What we're seeing from Davey Grant at this stage of the game and how dangerous his hands are going up against a guy in Luis Smolka, who was just knocked out really quickly against Vince Morales. Vince Morales was an inconsistent fighter for sure within the UFC. And I feel like this is a really nice spot, almost like a large step up in competition for Luis Smolka, especially because he just, had so much damage in his last bout. So I really like Davey Grant via KO sitting at plus 135. I don't know. I'm pretty bullish on Davey Grant this week, and I can't wait to see him perform.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good spot for Davey Grant. One of these weird situations where they're actually both rep by the same management company, which sometimes does happen. They're both represented by a radio sports agency. So a little inside MMA there for you. Of course, I appreciate everyone checking out us here over at Odd Shopper for the MMA best bets for UFC Vegas 54. Huge thanks to our sponsor, BetMGM. Take advantage of that promo right in the video description below. And we'll be here all week for you. And of course, be sure to follow us on Twitter as well on Odd Shopper and get those winnings here on Saturday for UFC Vegas 54.